without like any hiccups, maybe an hour to an hour and a half, yeah.
Okay, that's not bad.
Okay, we have 19 participants, so I think that's a green light for us to get started. So some of you were here for the earlier session in the afternoon, morning, depending on your time zone. So welcome back. And for the newcomers, for this first session of the evening session, welcome. So my name is Katsu. I'm going to be hosting the lesson for today, but the instructor and lecturer is John Rowe. There he is. So let's kick this off with an introduction. Share screen. There we go. Oh God, I'm lagging.
If you have like, if it's like a slide deck, I could share from my end also, maybe.
Yeah, if you have access to it, that'd be great. Like my screen is currently frozen. I don't know if, okay, now it's stabilized actually. Okay, thank goodness. Okay, can everyone see that? Thumbs up if you do.
Yeah. Very clear.
Okay, perfect. So welcome to the application development with MIT App Inventor. This is a crash course for San Ramon Hackathon 2022. So here is the outline of the course schedule. We had our first meeting earlier today, and that was for programming basics, going over some variables, data types, and controls. Our instructor for the morning was Rithvik. He did a really thorough job with presenting visuals and showing us how to navigate this Inventor app. And for the other courses, apart from tomorrow, we are meeting between 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. So don't get that confused. If you're living in a different time zone, make sure you calculate that accordingly. And this is the first part of a 5-part or 5-class MIT A12 crash course session. And you can take a look at what we're going to go over, or rather what our instructors are going to go over in those sessions. So let's give an introduction to the teaching staff. As mentioned before, John and Rithvik are our instructors, and those are their respective academic institutions they participate in. We have a teaching assistant called Ambrose from Troy High School in Los Angeles, I believe. And there's me, Katherine. I prefer being called Kat, Sue, and I do research at Yale with youth, just like many of you. And of course, with our supervisor, Dr. Yu Meng. So how do you take advantage of this class? You're committing hours in the weekend evenings and the evenings of the weekdays. So it is a commitment. So for one, as you know, for every class, be present on time. You don't want to miss anything, especially because it's a crash course and everything is condensed in a timely manner. Make sure you follow the instructor and repeat in-class labs on your own PC and smart mobile device. So for this kind of course, it's not much of a, just listen to it and watch it, and then you're going to learn something and retain information. It's important that you use your hands to practice with coding so that, the physicality of typing integrates into your memory. Excuse me. We'll also be recording this class as you saw when you entered in and creating a video out of it if you want to review. And also there will be PowerPoint slides after class in case you want to refresh your memory. We also have a Discord group in the link, as you can see. There you can do some voice channels, like talk with some people on, hey, how do you figure out this homework problem? I'm stuck, and kind of exchange information or like help each other there. we also have like a discussion text channel if you want to use that resource instead. Okay. So what is the key to programming? For learning a programming language, a key is that missing from many of the courses, instructors, books, videos, and other resources that claim to teach programming. And that key is immersion. And like I said before, the really hands-on active learning process, which is writing, debugging, and modifying a lot of code in the language. So you're tying the knot between your brain and hands at the same time. So before I pass the baton to John, John is a 3 times International Science and Engineering Fair recipient of an award. And he's also received an American Junior Academy of Science Award as well. And without further ado, I will allow John to have his screen time.
Okay, so hi guys, I'm John, and I'll just be your instructor today. Just before we begin, I was kind of curious what your guys' programming background was. In general, like, have you guys like programmed before? Like, is this something that you want to study down the line? Just like, feel free to, I guess, like put in the comments or just like, you know, just speak out loud as well. I think it's just kind of good to like get a sense of where you guys are right now. I'll actually call someone out. Alice, like, have you programmed before?
Yeah, a little bit on MIT App Inventor.
Okay, that's good. And do you guys have everything set up like from this morning? Or do we need to go over?
Most of us do. I know a few people don't have the Android device, so we use the emulators.
I know that they do have an iOS version as well. We haven't tested it out as much. I remember last year it was kind of buggy, but if you have that, I recommend using it also because it will probably work for most of these simple apps. So if you are using an emulator and are having like a bit of trouble with it, I recommend just downloading the iOS app also. But before then, I'll just like give the basic stuff about like installation here. So we just have like this YouTube video to help you install it if you have trouble. But other than that, please let me know if I'm going too fast, too slow. If you have any questions, feel free to just unmute yourself and we'll get the session started. So we'll start with this first app. So I recommend everyone go to this website here on your computers. We're going to be walking through 5 MIT App Inventor courses today. Or not courses, sorry, apps. So this is really nice because you can get a really good sense of like hands-on programming, right? And it is block code, but MIT App Inventor is actually very powerful. Like I myself used to use it for like middle school science for projects. I know Kevin used it as well. And, you know, this is where a lot of people get their start building apps. And, you know, a lot of us now moved on to other ways of building apps. Like I just finished building this one app using React Native, which uses a lot of the same principles that you'll learn today. So if you guys, you know, stick with learning all this stuff, it'll really pay dividends down the line once you guys are, you know, a bit older, or even, you know, if you guys want to put in the time now and get a head start to build really cool stuff. So let me start sharing my screen here and we will cover this first app. Actually, before that, just like open the link and just feel free to like put a thumbs up or, you know, just whatever reaction you want on the Zoom, just to make sure everyone was able to navigate to the page and open up the first project, which is something to do with a bee. It's just like the Hello Cody one. And we'll just walk through it together and kind of demo it. Okay, so I'm just going to start sharing my screen here. But once you open the tutorial, you should see a blank screen here. But it wouldn't have like this stuff. This is already pre-made. But just like you probably learned this morning, but just as a refresher, you can have a lot of these components here that you can drag and drop from the left. This is where you can actually modify the app. And this is where you can look at each of the components and set like different settings. And the programming, the brains behind this operation here is all, based on the block code here. But I'll actually demo this just to see, just to show you guys how it's supposed to look. And then we're going to actually build it ourselves. So let me start sharing my screen here on this Android device. And again, if you have any questions or if I'm going too fast, just let me know. And I'd be happy to accommodate. But let me share my screen here. And this is what the final app is supposed to look like. And when you touch this button here, it's supposed to make like a buzzing sound like you're touching a bead. And if your phone has the functionality, it can also vibrate like a bee does as well. So it's a pretty simple app. We'll kind of walk through this pretty quickly because I'm sure a lot of you guys already kind of know how to do a lot of this stuff. But for those who don't, we'll just start from the basics and work our way up. So let me share my screen once again. And here, what's helpful about these tutorials is you can go through here and they have all the steps listed as well to follow alongside. But I'm here also to, be a guiding force in a way, and also to answer any questions alongside Katherine and Ambrose. So we'll just start here. So if everyone could just, open this again, and we'll start by following the instructions here. So we want to go here, we kind of ran through everything. There's like the viewer here, the palettes, components, as well as the properties. And this is just the interface, pretty self-explanatory. But here we have like all of the components which we can actually use. So I think Rithvik covered this, but we have a lot of stuff we can drag and drop. Like if you want a text box here, we can drag it here. If we don't want it, we can just click on this here, delete it. And it's pretty much, you pick and play, you drag and drop. So we'll move on from here. Here it tells you if you don't have these files to download them. I think it actually pre-downloads it. So you should be okay, but just in case they have links here. But from here, we'll move on to the next step with the interface. And the very first thing we want to do is to drag one of these button elements. So this is just the very first one, and we just drag it here. And then the next step is from here, we can actually, or from here, excuse me, we can take the label and then drop it again right below the button. And then from there, we can take a sound element under media and just put it here, and it'll show as a non-visible component. All that means is it's there. It's like one of those things you can access, but it won't show up on the actual screen. So it's kind of hidden in a way. Now we can click on this button here. And from there, what we can do is we can actually change all of the properties. I'll pause a bit to give some time to answer any questions. Feel free to just unmute or put it in the chat. But otherwise, we'll just keep going. Okay, I'll take that as a sign to just keep going. So from here, you want to set the height to automatic here. And then for the width to fill parent. So what this does is it just basically expands this button to fill the entire screen. So, say this phone were a little thinner, it would fill, say to here, if the phone is this thin, or this thick, excuse me, in terms of the screen, or, it would fill if it's even wider, like a tablet or something. So that's all it does. And then from here, we can set the image, which we want to grab here for the button. And we can just set this image to the Cody.jpg, which is like the little bee mascot that they have. And then we don't want this text here because it's a bit ugly. So we can just delete this text. So now we have this pretty bee just to isolate it and serve as our method of interaction with the app. So from here, we can then go to label 1. And then we can set the background color to whatever we want for this label. In this case, we'll just leave it as blank, or actually we'll just make it orange just to make it prettier. And for the font size, we can make it larger to also make it easier to read. We can set it to like say 35. And we can then set the text to tell the user what to do to touch the B. And if we want to make this a little prettier, we can even center the text in the box just to make it look a little better. So perfect, and move on here. At this stage, it recommends that we actually connect and run the app. We can do that at the end, but I guess as a checkpoint, it would be great if everyone could just, on their local system, press this connect and press the AI companion. It'll then give you a QR code that you can scan and access it on your device. Excuse me. If you don't have a device, I recommend trying to use like a parent's phone or something like that, just to be able to test your code out as you go. There should be again an iOS app as well as an Android app that should allow you to test out what we're building here. So we'll give a second to do that. And in the meantime, I am open to answer any of the questions that you guys have. Okay, well, we don't really have any questions, so we'll keep going. But the next step is to then go to the sound one here. And then source, we want to pick B sound. So what that's doing is we have this B sound that we've uploaded into this media component. And it's basically just taking that file and then associating it with this sound one label. And then we can access this down the line in the blocks. So you can think about this as, I guess one analogy would be like a variable in a way that you've like assigned some sort of data to that you can then access later. It's not like a one-to-one analogy, it's just how I think about it, because it just makes sense that way. But you can basically set this as like a label for the sound so that we can access it in the blocks. So that's just how App Inventor does it. But in other languages, you can also just set like a variable name and just assign like a source of that file to it, and then you can access the data from there generally. So we will move on. And from here, it's pretty simple. We go to the blocks, and there are these three windows we can access. Again, we see the media once again, as well as the blocks, and where we can actually edit everything. And then what we'll do here is on button one. So all of these are properties associated with that button one, which is just this image of the bee. All we have to do is to take this and then press one button, one click. And this is called an event handler. So whenever we click on this first button, it'll perform a specific action. So what this is doing, this is just waiting for you to click on this. And once you click on it, it is basically being told to execute some sort of action. So in this case, it's being told to do nothing, but we wanted to actually play the sound. So what we can do here is click on the sound one component or block, and then select this. So this will actually play the sound, and it will just like, tell the app to actually make that be like buzzing noise. And if we want to actually make it buzz as well, MIT App Inventor has a cool function that actually allows you to make your phone buzz if it has the buzzing functionality, as in like the hardware itself. I think if you're using most tablets, they don't have the vibrating function, but if you use like a phone, generally speaking, you have access to that, so you can add that additional functionality. And if you want to be a bit creative, you can play around with other tools here. There aren't too many others here that would be super applicable, but for another app, say that you make down the line, there's a lot of possibility with these event handlers. So from here, we'll go to the math function and then drag this. And from here, we can just set this as 50. Bit of an arbitrary number, but this just kind of tells you how long to vibrate. We can even set this to 100 or 200, and it would just vibrate for however long you specify. So from there, we can now actually test the app. So that kind of concludes our first project here. It was relatively simple, but it's pretty cool. We already demoed it ourselves, but I'll give you guys just a moment there to test out on your system. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, or general comments, or even maybe functionality you want to add, and we'll try it out right here.
Can everyone follow this? If not, we can repeat it.
Oh, I see a question in the chat. My thing just stopped working, and so the server is simply unavailable. Do you mean your thing for MIT App Inventor? Or actually, do you want to share your screen and then we can troubleshoot it from there, if that's okay? Yes. Okay. I assume yes, as in the MIT App Inventor link isn't working. That's odd. Are you connected to Wi-Fi? Okay. Actually, do you want to just share your screen? It might be easier to troubleshoot from there, actually. And then we'll just figure it out together. I'll stop sharing here. Okay, maybe the link wasn't right. Who knows? I'll send you another link to access again, and then try clicking the tutorial option for the Cody project. And if that doesn't work, then we'll keep figuring it out. So just let us know if it's working, and then we'll just move on to the next project as well. Okay, that is odd. Maybe it might be an issue. Did everyone else access it properly? Like, was it working for you guys? Just like nod, or go ahead. Okay. Okay, thank you, Sophia. I think then maybe it might be an issue with your system, like with your computer. Maybe Dr. Meng, should we open up like a breakout room and like help them troubleshoot that with one of the TAs, or should we just come back at the end?
Yeah. Okay. What kind of device do you have?
Oh, he says
a quick question.
It's working now.
Okay, wonderful.
Awesome. Perfect. So let's move on to the next project. You're welcome. And this is Talk to Me, and we'll just follow along the steps here, and work on it. So from here, we've already set it up. We've already, oh wait, no, this is the actual steps now. So this is the same thing as the last one. We just have all of the same layout. This is the same instructions as well. But from here, they want us to add a button. So we'll drag this through. And if you have already connected this here with the AI companion, you should be able to see the button pop up. I think it refreshes live actually. So if you don't, I think, have to rebuild this every time as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you can just directly refresh the screen using this button as well. But what I recommend you do is just like have your device connected and just keep it connected while we build, so you can see everything change in real time. But anyways, when you just in general, when you have that functionality, I think it's helpful, so you can catch bugs as they go. Because when you're building apps, you don't want to like never test it from like when you start to when you finish, because then most likely something will break in between that process. So it's good to have like very solid checkpoints to test your code and debug as you go. But anyways, we just added a button here, and we can change the text property to just talk to me. And then we'll move on to the next step. And the next,
John, excuse me, John.
Mm-hmm.
Can we make sure everyone is able to complete this project? Because when you complete this project, you actually got a certificate from code.org.
Or don't you get the certificate when you finish all 5?
Yeah, no, the first one, the first one will get when you first finish the first one, you will get the certificate.
Okay, let me see.
So that means we want to make sure everyone is able to set up the environment, connect to the application and play it.
Okay, yeah. So I'll go back to the first one and then do that now. So someone just messaged me, how do you arrange the tutorial on the left of the App Inventor screen? Where is it showing for you right now? Is it showing like somewhere else on the screen? Or is it just not there at all? If it's not there at all, what you should do is go to this page here and click on this tutorial button, and it should take you there directly. You might have just gone to the regular App Inventor page. So I'll just DM this to you directly. So just go here and then click on the Hello Cody. And then from there, you should be able to like see the tutorial on the left side. So it already exists. So I just have to click it again. But from there, it should just be built into App Inventor. Okay, no problem. And for everyone else, can you give like a thumbs up in the chat if you were able to deploy this project successfully and test it? In fact, if someone wants to like actually showcase your project, we'd be happy to see that as well. Okay, Aiden. Aiden, do you actually want to showcase your project? If not, that's okay. But you seem to know what you're doing, so it'd be cool.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so you can just show it on your like camera, honestly. You don't have to like share your screen or anything. Or unless you're on an emulator, then maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, perfect. That's beautiful. Okay, awesome. Does anyone else have any bugs or any concerns? Okay, all good. Last call for this project, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so we'll go back to the second project here, which is this one. So from here, picking back up where we left off, all we've done so far is just go to the user interface and then drag and drop a button. And then we just change the text on the button to talk to me. And this is something we can press down the line and add code for logic basically to perform a specific action when we are pressing this button on the screen. So from here, all you have to do is go here, add another component, text to speech, which is under media, and just drag and drop here. And here it says that that's it for the components. And we can just switch to the blocks. I think because I have multiple things open right now, it is giving me this session issue. So let me reload it, excuse me. And I think it didn't save that last thing, so we'll just redo it. So go back to media, text to speech.
You are not sharing the right screen.
Oh, is it not sharing? Can you guys see it now?
Yes, right.
Okay, sorry.
Can you redo it? Because
yeah, absolutely.
We didn't follow this. Oh,
right.
Yeah. You're in the step 4 now.
Okay, yeah, my bad. So for this, all you have to do is you just take the button, which is under user interface, and then just drag this from here, drag it here. And then all we did was we just renamed it to talk to me. And then the next thing we did for step 4 was we added a second component under media, which was a text-to-speech. And then we just dragged and dropped that onto the screen as well. And then we just can move on and go to the blocks here and start adding some of the logic. So from here, we can click on button 1. And again, when we access stuff here, this is specific to button 1. And as a tip for MIT App Inventor, we can technically click on, like text-to-speech here. Actually, probably it would be better if there are 2 buttons, but generally you can click on this and change to other buttons. Like say you had a button 2 or 3. So that's makes it very easy to make it modular and switch components in and out, or change which component does what. So that's very convenient for App Inventor. And as a review, if you don't want this component, you can trash it here. You can zoom in, zoom out, and that's kind of all we need to use for now. So, I don't know why it did that, but let's just say the enter screen now. Okay, I think my MIT App Inventor just crashed, so let me reload this. Okay, so go back to where we were.
Yeah, that is because you have 2 active sessions.
Yeah, I don't know where the other session is. I thought I deleted it. Yeah, because on my other one on this was on my other Gmail, but I think it'll be okay. But from here, all we have to do is go to the blocks editor, choose button 1, press the button 1 dot click, and then we can just drop the text to speech dot speak thing. So we'll search for that, which is right here, and there should be a dot speak that we can just call from here, and that should be it. Just to double check this is the right component, text to speech dot speak. That looks right. Unless I'm mistaken. Yep, that looks good. And then we just press next here. And then all we have to do is give a specific message for what it wants to say. And just to reiterate, all this is doing is we have this button 1 component, and this communicates with the blocks in the background so that when you click on the button 1, it is calling the text to speech 1.speak, and all that's doing is it's just going to play a message that you tell it to speak. And then that just is basically all this button is doing. Not too complicated, but just to recap. So from here, we can go to the text drawer and then drag in a blank text box. And then this is, in other languages, what we generally call a string. It's basically just text, and we can specify a specific message here. So from here, we can say something like, hello, congrats on making this app. And that should then just play once we go to the designer and showcase it from there. So next step, from here, we can actually test the app. So from here, you can just, again, go to the AI companion and then start playing stuff on your own. But here we'll take a quick pause and, try to catch up, any questions, any concerns, so that we're all on the same page here before we move on to part 2 of this project. So if everyone could, again, just put like a thumbs up if you're ready. And if you're not, just feel free to DM one of us, or just, unmute yourself and we'll get you guys sorted out. Okay, awesome. Alice is ready. Let's see. Okay, so it seems like everyone is ready. So we'll move on to part 2. Actually, before then, let's test this ourselves to make sure we didn't make any mistakes. So I'll showcase this on my end, but I need to actually refresh my companion. Oh, actually, I need to redo it. But let me share the tablet screen here using the cast. Stop share. Oh, someone says something in the chat. Oh, so you crashed. Did the MIT App Inventor crash, or did your desktop crash, or did your app crash from your tablet or phone? Okay, so if your app crashed, most likely it wasn't really your fault. It was just App Inventor like didn't refresh properly or something like that. What you can generally do is just like double tap your screen or open the apps, swipe it out, and then just restart the app and reconnect. Okay, fixed, awesome. Okay, let's see what the error is. Connection error. That might just be my Wi-Fi. Let me just reconnect it. Although it seems like.
Hello.
Okay.
Congrats on making this app.
Okay, even though it gave an error, it looks like it's working anyway. So all we have here is just a button. Actually, I am silly. I forgot I have the functionality here. But I'll just put an audio here.
Hello. Congrats on making this app.
And it's basically, a text-to-speech engine that they have there. So you can actually apply this to other apps. Google has like a great text-to-speech API, I think, as well as like AWS, which is like Amazon's cloud service. So, this is very powerful functionality, actually. I remember back when I was about your guys' age, I was always playing around with like text-to-speech stuff on my phone just for fun. So it's really cool that App Inventor has this functionality built into its own designer. So we can even make this say something else like, like say, I don't know, like we can make it say like oranges and apples. And then from here, we can just refresh, or I'll just reset it and then reconnect it. Yes. And then from here, of course, we can then, we should hear the new text, which is just oranges and apples.
Oranges and apples.
And perfect, we heard it right there. So that's great. And we will share the next part of this tutorial. And again, give like a thumbs up if everything looks good and everything's working on your end. Okay, awesome, Alec. Thank you. Okay, awesome, perfect. So we'll just move on to the next part of this. And this is just gonna add more functionality. And again, if you are lost in any steps or you wanna come back to them down the line, it's really great to just be able to access everything on the left-hand side here for future use. So from here, we can add the accelerometer sensor. So from here, we go back to the designer, and under the sensors component, we should have the accelerometer, and we can just drag and drop it here. So I think not all devices have an accelerometer. Generally, they do. So if you're using an older device, maybe this might not work. If that's the case, maybe try out like another device, say like a phone, or something along those lines. And again, if you're using an emulator, this most likely will not work either. So again, recommend trying to use like a phone or something. Those generally work the best. So from here, just to make sure we didn't miss anything. And from here, we can go to the blocks editor again. And now we see this accelerometer sensor that we can access. And just to give you guys like intuition on what the accelerometer does, if you've ever played those like racing games on your phone, or, you know, done anything that makes your phone move. It's basically just tracking the movement that you are providing to your phone. So like it's like accelerating in a way. So from here, we can drag on accelerometer one.shaking, which I think is this one. And we can then do a text-to-speech block again from here. And then we can just speak whatever message that we want it to do here. Or what this is also saying is we can actually just copy it and paste it. But honestly, you can just grab it and move it here as well. So from here, we'll just get the text again, and we will make it say something like, ow, stop shaking me. Okay, so we'll just test that out on our end. And just to recap what we just did, all we did was we added the accelerometer sensor, and we just called this shaking part as an event handler under the accelerometer sensor. And once we shake the phone, all it's gonna do is say, "I'll stop shaking me." Again, this might not work if your device doesn't have the right sensor. I'm not actually sure if this tablet has a sensor, but we'll just check it out. Actually, let me stop the share and then do it. And let me reset the connection. And in theory,
stop shaking me.
Yeah, so this does have an accelerometer, and you can.
Stop shaking me. Stop shaking me.
Yeah, I mean it's mispronouncing ow, but it gets the job done. Excuse me. But yeah, this is like a great time to ask any questions if you guys have any. Feel free to just unmute yourself or to type in the chat. Does anyone actually want to demonstrate just for fun? What about you, Jack? I see you shaking your tablet.
Wait, where is text-to-speech under?
It's under, did you drag and drop the text-to-speech thing from?
Right, hold on.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah, got it, right.
Let me, where is it actually here?
There is a search box. You can type.
Yeah, it's under media. It's under media. And you can just drag and drop from here. Or yeah, someone mentioned the search bar here as well.
Oh yeah. My sound thing is very staticky and I can barely hear what they're saying. So
barely hear what we're saying from the Zoom, or barely hear what the tablet is saying?
What the tablet is saying.
That is odd. Do you want to like try playing how it sounds like from your end?
Yeah, sure.
Alice is beautiful and the best at everything.
That is odd. Does your tablet or phone usually have?
Not only that, she is also a genius and the most talented and gifted person in the world.
I think that is odd. That's probably some quirk with your device. It might be, yeah, it's probably just a quirk with your device, honestly. I think it gets, we got the concept down though, so we can play around with it after the class is over, see if we can fix it. But I think like it shows that it works, which is most important. So awesome.
Thanks.
Great that it's working for you guys. And do you guys have any questions, any comments, anything else? Okay, if not, let's move on. Go to the designer here, and we want to drag a text box from here and we want to move the button below the text box. So actually what we can do is just put the text box on top. What's up?
All we see is the, what's it called? All we see is the.
Oh, my bad. That is my bad. I did not share it again. That is my bad. Sorry about that. So back to this screen, all I did here was took this text box and moved it on top of the button. Or what these instructions want you to do is they said to put this on the bottom and then drag it, but honestly, you can just put it here. Okay, perfect. And then we'll move on. We go back to the box editor. And from here, we have the text box one. And we do want to do .text. So I don't think it actually has an okay, here it is, actually. We'll move this here. But what's great is if you're making other MIT App Inventor apps, you can grab other properties of that text box. So what this has is this has a bunch of these properties, right? Like the actual text in this case is empty because we want the user to be able to edit this. And we have, stuff like the width, the font size even. We can just grab these properties later, and those would be useful, especially the text option if we want some sort of input that's customized. And for example, if you're typing in something into Google, we take the text from the search bar, and that's processed in the back end. So there's that interaction between the user and the stuff that are the brains of the app. That would not otherwise be possible without something like this. So that is why we do that. And we can replace the congratulations text box, or in this case, we change it to something else, and just speak the message that the user types in this text box. So what we'll do is we'll test it again and type in a message. If you guys want a specific message, feel free to put it in like the chat or something, and we'll just say whatever you guys want. And actually, let me reshare the other screen. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to just speak up now. Okay, so can you guys see the phone screen or the tablet screen? I mean, okay, perfect. So from here, yes. We can just type in something like, do you guys want to say anything? Like any like sports fans here, we could say like Warriors in like 6 or Celtics in 7 or something. Or we'll just say like, what could we say? We'll just say like yellow and red.
Yellow, red.
And it just types in whatever you tell it to. So we could even, say something like, hi.
Hey.
Okay, well, it mispronounced it, but it got the concept down. So yeah, that's really cool. And again, the way that works is it's taking this input from the user, and then it's grabbing that value. And whenever you press the button, there's an event handler that tells the device to actually play the speech. So the text-to-speech is possible because App Inventor basically has abstracted that, or made it so that the functionality is already built in. So you can just call that functionality instead of having to say like code it from scratch. So that's really useful because we can just know that the text-to-speech works without knowing how it works necessarily in the background. Although, of course, down the line, you can study how it's actually doing that and reading it. But in a simplistic sense, is basically just mapping out syllables and then stringing them together for the computer. But if you ever go to more complex CS stuff, you can look into stuff like natural language processing, which can derive more meaning out of words rather than just having computers speak them out loud. But this is still really cool, and it has a lot of applications. But we are basically done with the second app, and we'll move on to the third one. Again, please speak up with any questions you have, and we would be happy to help.
Would you have a break?
Yeah, we can also do a break. We're approaching the halfway mark, so a 5-minute break here would also be fine too. Does anyone have any concerns or any issues with their app? Okay, I think we are good then. So we will come back at 6 p.m. Central, or I think that should be 4 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Again, if you have any questions or anything comes up, just feel free to chat. But otherwise, go enjoy your break. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes, so we'll get back and started. And yes, Ambrose, your chat is working. So if you guys can come back, we'll get started soon. And we'll move on to the third project, which is technically, I think, the fourth part. So we're almost there. But it is just called the ball bounce. So this one's, not too bad. We'll just get it out of the way. Again, please let me know if you have any questions, if I'm going too fast or anything, and we'll stop and make sure that, everything makes sense. So back to sharing the screen. Can everybody see it okay? Okay, perfect. So this is, again, the same old, same components, same screen. This is also the same old, same old. So from here, we can actually set screen properties. So we can uncheck the scrollable property, which I think is here somewhere. Let me do a Control F. Okay, actually, it was right there. So it is already unchecked, thankfully. So all that does is, like it says here, if you have components that, like, say, go off the page a little bit, you could otherwise scroll, like, say, on my screen here, you could scroll, but obviously on an app, that's a little bit awkward. So we want it to be very much in the margins of the screen itself. So that's all we have to do here. And then from here, we can add a canvas component. So under drawing and animation, there is this component right here. Here we can, like, read more about it. But for now, we'll just put this here. And then we'll fill in the width and height to fill parent. And like last time, all this is doing is the parent, of course, being this entire window or the viewer, basically, and it just fills up to match the dimensions of the phone. So that is dependent on the device, but whatever the maximum dimension is, it'll fill that up completely. So let's move on. Add a ball sprite. So that should be here, and we can just drop it onto the canvas. And I think actually the location here doesn't matter so much, but we'll set the radius to 10 to make it bigger. And then we'll go to the next step. And we will move on to the block setter. So to recap for everyone on what we did on the front end here, is we have a ball sprite with radius 10. So we just changed that. And we also have a canvas where you can, draw basically, and do stuff like that. So we'll just pause here to let everyone catch up. And if you have any questions, feel free to speak up. Otherwise, we'll move on to the code now. So we're back to the blocks here. And from here, we can click on ball one and get one ball.flung. Put this here into the viewer. And it's telling us that we basically have these parameters that we can modify. And you can think about this as like inputs that we can take from some sort of source, whether we input it here natively, or we can pass it on from here, or grab values from something on here. And then we can actually modify these values or variables actually inside of the function itself. So they're kind of in the scope of the function, and we can modify it inside of the function. They're kind of like local in a way to this event at least. So we'll click on this ball one again. So drag this to the viewer, click on it again, and drag the set ball one heading to block and add it to one ball one flung. I think this actually needs a different type. So usually it's this, yeah. Ball one heading to the block, yep. And drag a set ball one dot speed. So we can just grab one of these again, put it here, and change this to speed. Or again, they also had it here, so you can just grab it from there. And we can attach it right below. And we can hover over here and press get heading. And then we can actually just snap this to the heading block And again, it's just taking whatever we pass on as a heading value, and we're using it within the scope of the event handler. So let's say we pass in something like science or something as the heading, then it would just take in that value and then it'll set this as heading here. And then the ball will have the heading itself. So similarly, we have the speed here and we just want to grab the speed. And then we can move on. And from here, we should be able to actually test it. They should have preliminary functionality. And then we'll add more functionality later. But it actually won't work completely because we haven't built all the functionality, but we can at least test what we have so far. So I'll give you guys a few moments to catch up here. And we'll also now then play it on the tablet as well for you guys to demonstrate.
Wait, did you ever set the speed of the ball to anything in the designer?
I don't think so. I think it actually is just grabbing the speed of it here. As far as I know, you can drag this, but we'll double check. I don't think it explained it here either. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is what it would do. Let's actually double check to make sure. Basically, I think when it says .flung, what we can do is we should be able to just like move it. Like we can literally just drag it and then move it. And it's just grabbing properties that are part of the ball at that point in time. So basically we can take this and like, swing it around and like play around with it. And then it can get the values from here. So we're not setting it explicitly. It's kind of calculated automatically by MIT App Inventor. So just work on that on your guys' end. And for me, I will also play it here as our demo. So let me share the other screen. And again, please, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Device disconnected. Okay, let me reconnect this real quick. So shouldn't take long, but in the meantime, please just work on this on your end, and we will touch base in like a minute here once I reconnect this. Has anyone got it demoing so far? What about Alec? Have you gotten it to work yet?
I'm still trying to connect it.
No worries, no worries. What about you, Aiden?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, awesome. Do you want to showcase it to the class?
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to turn off the
virtual background. Or yeah, no worries. Okay, awesome.
When it hits the edge, it just kind of slides.
That's actually what it's supposed to do for now, because we need to add a bouncing.
Oh.
So that's perfect if you have gone to that point. And we'll add the bouncing feature just now. So let me show this on my end, if it's going to let me. So I'll also explain again what this is doing here in just a moment, once we showcase it. Oh wait, I am not sharing. Okay, so we're here now, and what you should be able to do is just like move this, although my thing is kind of glitching out. You should be able to like basically tap it and then like fling it. Let me see if I can actually do this on this. Oh, okay, well, it's not letting me. Okay, but what you can do is kind of just like touch it and then like just drag it. So now you're here on the screen. You can't really see this, so I have a virtual background, but you just like touch it and then like slide it around. And then once again, like Leon mentioned, once it hits the side, it'll basically like slide down instead of bouncing off. And that's something we'll code in right now. But that is basically because we didn't tell it what to do once it hits the edge. So that's something that you want to keep in mind when you're developing stuff like this. You want to keep in mind, not just your primary behavior, but any, consequences of that behavior. So, you might intend the app to do one thing, but, say when a certain condition is reached, the behavior itself might change. So you want to be comprehensive with, making sure that the app works. And really the best way to do that is just to test your app as you build functionality in a lot of different settings so that you can make sure that it's working properly. So you had a problem, set ball speed and heading block needed value connected block to socket. So were you able to drag in the block one? That's kind of strange because it should be able to just grab the values directly from the block. If you want, actually feel free to just share your screen and your code actually. Because what this is doing is we just have the canvas, right? And we have the ball and it's basically just grabbing the speed and the heading directly from the ball itself. So that's not something we actually have to manually pass in. So heading, I think, is actually not like text. It's like the direction. So let's see. Okay, awesome. You fixed it. Perfect. Okay, I think someone just joined. For those of you guys who just joined, it's pretty easy to catch up because the tutorials are listed here on the website. But just join this website here and click on the one about the balls. And we're almost finished with that, but you should be able to catch up relatively quickly. Or, we can stay a bit after and help you get up to speed as well. But from here, all we have to do now is add the bouncing functionality. So we'll go back to the blocks here and we'll go back to ball one. And we need to have another event handler when ball one dot edge reached. And again, like Leon was kind of hinting at.
Your screen is not shared.
Okay, sorry, I keep doing that. Let me share my screen here. So sorry about that. I'll also kind of cover what we were doing earlier here. So all that we were doing was that we had this ball, right? And this ball has properties like the speed, the heading, as well as the velocity in the X and Y direction, because this is two-dimensional. And we are taking those values based on what MIT App Inventor calculates them as. So we don't actually have to code in like the swiping functionality. It's already built in, which is really handy. And it's just taking those values and then assigning them here, basically, as part of this event handler. So this already can, calculate the speed as well as the velocity. And we just have to pass in those values and, grab them from here. We could even grab, say, like the X and Y coordinates by using these, or even change them if a certain event occurs. So this is really useful to have these event handlers. Basically all this is saying is when we are taking the ball, flicking it or flinging it, I guess, or flinging it, flying is past tense, sorry. If we're flinging it, it'll grab the speed from there. So we'll add the second event handler, and all this is saying is like when you reach the edge of the phone screen to do something. So in this case, we have this, we click on ball one again, and then we want to connect the call ball one.bounce. So right here. And this is again built into MIT App Inventor, and this is abstracted. So what that means is someone in MIT App Inventor actually coded how to make it bounce. And all you're doing is just calling this function basically. And you can just use it, without having to code it from scratch. So that's very useful. Even, when you're coding in other languages, say like Python or, literally anything else, like say you're doing a front end React app. You can call a lot of other functions and stuff that other people have made without really having to build it from scratch or, even fully understand what's going on. You just have to have general intuition. So that's a really important thing to note. I think a lot of people have this misconception that you have to do everything from the ground up, but there are a lot of resources out there to help, get the ball rolling with a lot of the building. Even say if you want to use a specific machine learning model. There are a lot of pre-trained ones you can use, and I think you can even connect them to MIT App Inventor. So I think you guys are working on a hackathon. So just wanted to give those tips as well to really leverage a lot of resources on the internet to help you guys build. There are a lot of things that you guys can reference as well as use in order to like build your apps. So that's just what I recommend. I think there's just really the best thing I think is that there's so much documentation that you can learn from, as well as tutorials. But anyways, tangent aside, we can just get this right and connect. Then click on ball one again, connect the call ball one that bounce, 200 ball is reached. Okay, and then we hover over to edge, get edge, and I think it wants us to actually attach it here. Yep, I think that looks good. And we can then now test it again. So in this case, once you have this, it should actually now bounce off or have more natural physics when you are playing around with it when it hits the wall. So there's actually another tutorial mentions if you want to build something similar to this, that's like a mini golf game. If you have like Game Pigeon, I'm sure it's pretty similar to the mini golf game on there. Yeah, I mean, not much else to say here. So let's test it out on our end. And if you have any questions, feel free to speak up. And I'll actually slow down a bit because we have like more than half an hour before 7 p.m. Central. And we only have like one more project to go. So please let me know if you have any questions, anything coming up, and we can slow down and make sure your questions are answered. Okay, if not, I will just share the demo. So I'm just curious, are you guys mostly from like the West Coast or like other places? Oh, that's cool. Oh, Ontario, that's nice. I have a Canadian friend whom I'll be meeting in like an hour here. Oh, that's really neat. I guess that makes sense because the hackathon is located on the West Coast. I mean, I'm from Texas. I know Kevin from Texas, and so is Dr. Meng. But I'll be visiting the Bay Area soon just for fun. So that's great. Oh, near Niagara. Okay. I was like tripping out when I read that word at first. I was like, wait, where is that? Is that a country? And then I was like, oh yeah, Niagara. Yeah, that's beautiful. I like the northern part of New York is so great. I mean, honestly, if you live there, maybe people who live there will say it differently because it gets boring. But I think being close to nature, like near Ithaca, that area is really nice. Yeah, I read Nigeria too at first. I was like, wait, what? What's the time zone? Oh yeah, Niagara, I haven't been there in so long, but it's so pretty. But yeah, from here, you should be able to connect to here and just fling this. And if this works properly, it should bounce off. If it doesn't, then we got to fix it. Yay, it bounced. So here's an idea. If you have something for the hackathon that you want to build, maybe do like a Pong app, and you can like set points if you like it hits the wall on one side, like one player gets a score. I'm sure there's a lot of documentation for MIT App Inventor as well for that, but I mean, we're almost done with the tutorials here. So this gives you a very good foundation in general for what to build. So Alice, what's your question?
So what's like the hackathon thing?
I was assuming you guys are in a hackathon. It's like the sand something hackathon. Are you guys building something at the end? Katherine, you know more about it?
I was told it was like a competition or an event.
Yes. And
okay.
Dr. Meng knows.
Ramon.
San Ramos.
Okay, I think Dr. Meng is not in a meeting right now, but I'll ask him later. And I think I'll see you guys tomorrow anyways, because I'm teaching the other lesson as well. So we'll figure out the deets. But I think you guys are building something for prizes, which is cool. So I think, you can take what you learned here today and apply it to, a project of your own. And, stuff like this is like how a lot of us got started in like science fairs. Like we would build stuff. And now, we have friends who are like building actual like products that people use as like real companies, which is really cool. So that could be in your future if you guys commit to this kind of thing or not. You don't have to study STEM just because your parents force you to. You want to study something you actually enjoy. But overall, I think this is a really cool space. So nothing to go wrong with here. But let's open up the final tutorial. We actually have a lot of like time. I mean, honestly, you guys could probably be left early, which is probably what you guys want. So we'll probably just end up doing that. But again, if you have any questions, please just let me know and we'll answer them. So we'll begin the final tutorial here. And after that, I think you should be able to get some certificates from code.org. So you can like print that out and put it on like your fridge or something, or, I guess brought it to your friends at school or something. But this is the final tutorial. It's not very long, but it's just, same old with the first thing here. I'm talking so much right now that I'm getting lightheaded. I should take a deep breath every once in a while, but we'll change the scroll settings again. And check this. Okay, someone's in the chat. Oh, okay. That's tough. Oh, wait, oh, wait, yeah. He also texted me that. Sorry, I'm not doing this disturb though. That's no problem. Okay, thank God I don't have a power outage because I live really close to him, but we'll keep going. But we'll uncheck the scrollable property here. And from here, drag in a canvas property. And it doesn't say to do anything, but it'll probably tell us to fill the parent. Yep. So from here, same thing as last time. You wanted to fill up the entire screen. Click height, fill parent with property. Drag in an accelerometer component, which should be under sensors. Yep. Canvas one dot dragged. Yeah, so from here, blocks. And just to recap, all we did was we added a canvas as well as an accelerometer sensor. All right, from here then, we can go to canvas one and press when canvas one dot dragged. To the handler here, click on this again, press call canvas one dot draw line. There it is. And they're probably gonna tell us to get these values here. Just, yeah, okay, so. All right, so what we have to do here is get the previous X here. All right, why is this? All right. So we can add this to X1 and same thing with prev Y, add this to Y1, and then we can repeat the current X for X2 and XY2, or sorry, respectively, current X2, X2, and then current Y to Y2. And now we can test this. So yeah, we'll actually just test it right now. Relatively simple. Again, all we did was add a canvas, add the accelerometer, and we can just test this here. And I think we should just be able to actually draw directly on here. And again, we didn't actually have to code any of that from scratch. All we had to do was go here, and then MIT App Inventor has it made, right, as like a function, basically. So let me go back here. Okay, this is annoying. This didn't connect properly. Okay, sorry, my computer is not showing me. Okay, here it is. Okay, lovely. So you should be able to see the screen soon. Okay, now why is it not letting me access this? Okay, perfect. So I think here, yeah, you can just draw. The touchscreen is kind of honestly glitchy on my end at least, but you can just draw random stuff here. I think they'll also make this add us like functionality to what is it called? To clear the screen as well. So we'll work on that. But yeah, I think depending on your device hardware, this might be glitchier just based on how they designed it. Like you can see like this, every time I tap, it's like drawing these strange lines. Otherwise, canvas, there's probably a method. Paint color. Oh, sorry, my internet is like bugging out. So if you have trouble understanding me, just let me know. But you can change like the color of the line here to like a custom color or one of these. You can change it to change the thickness here, and you can also change other stuff here. It's actually not supposed to draw like ugly like that. Wait, I am dumb. I realized I was not sharing this again. Let me re-say that. So from here, sorry, you can click on this and change the color of the line. So if you want a red line, you can click red, pink, orange. You can change the thickness here and stuff like that. It's actually supposed to draw a continuous line. I think it just depends on the hardware you have. It might glitch out. But we got the main concept down. So that's what's important. But yeah, mostly we have this pre-X, pre-Y. Yep, that looks good. So from here, we can add shake to erase. So grab the accelerometer part here. When it's shaking, we just drag that out, and we can go to canvas 1. There's a clear thing that someone already built for us from the App Inventor, and basically all this will do is when you shake it, it should erase the screen. And yeah, honestly, I think you can even add more functionality here, like it says, but this is like a very basic example of being able to draw. So we'll share this one last time. And then we are basically done. And I'll send you guys a link to make your own certificates for code.org if you guys want. Also, one sec, I need to reactivate MIT App Inventor. Okay, hopefully this connects. My Wi-Fi is acting up right now, so some issues there. Let me just reset it actually. Okay. So let me just end this here. Okay, my App Inventor is glitching, but all that was supposed to do was like when you shake it, it's supposed to clear the screen. So pretty simple. I'm like pretty sure it works. Like there's nothing super complicated here. So yeah, it probably works. But I don't really think there's much else to add. I'll send a link to if you guys want to make your own certificates from code.org. Wait, what do you mean, Ambrose? Oh, okay. And if that Aiden's question was about customizing the line, like we showed earlier on the canvas, you can change the color and width. For further customizations, I think MIT App Inventor is more limited, but you can change those two factors at least. Okay, well, I don't have much else to add. So if you guys don't have any more questions and everything's working, you guys are free to go. Otherwise, I'm here to answer any questions. Feel free to ask anything about like, you know, MIT App Inventor, general CS, college, you know, whatever you guys want, I'm here. So feel free to just ask stuff. Otherwise, yeah, you can just go and we'll see each other tomorrow. Bye, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Russell, do you have any questions or anything you want to ask?
It's going late, so I'm just wondering what did I miss?
So you didn't miss a whole lot. It's pretty easy to catch up. All you have to do is go onto here, this website, and you can just follow the tutorials listed. So they have like very clear like tutorials that you can just click on and you can just follow the steps on the left hand side.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free to message us if you have any questions, but it's pretty straightforward, honestly. I think you'll be able to figure it out.
Okay. Yeah.
And just go through the 5 projects. I think we already covered the 5th one with you and part of the 4th one, but pretty simple. It's not so bad.
Okay. Thank you.
But anyways, thanks guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.